levels. Did those tariffs go into place, Scott?
It's different for every country.
Scott,
it's different for every
it's
country.
a simple question. Did those tariffs go into place?
He has delayed
Yes or no?
some of the tariffs.
Yes or no?
He has delayed.
Hold on,
You were the
Scott,
one calling
please.
for a recession
Just
in
give me-
April,
just
not me.
Give me 1 second.
You called for it.
Give me 1 second. Please let me finish. It is
Negative
Let
of
me
this
ask-
would
it's
have
super-
at a minimum acknowledged
it
the
is
fact that the
super
president
simple.
did not implement
Sure,
those
Michael,
high
it
tariff
is
rates,
super
which you just
simple.
stated.
It is super simple. Did Donald Trump implement the tariff levels that he
No,
promised?
I acknowledge that the tariff levels did
what
actually.
you-
My point
hold on a
is,
second.
long-term
what's proper?
deal.
Let's focus on the word
Where
proper.
the
What's
detail
proper
holds
to
up.
you?
Where the
No,
detail...
because you keep saying this, but you're giving no specificity
okay.
whatsoever.
Well,
I can sit here and name a whole bunch of random ridiculousness. That means absolutely nothing at all.
With respect, no, because they've actually announced a European deal where supposedly $600
So
billion...
give specifics about what you would
Richard-
like to see in an
Richard,
alternative. Wait a minute, Scott.
The recession. You
And
called it.
and
You
Germany,
took your shoe off.
And oh, would you like to see that again?
You took your shoe off. You brought cookies out here.
15%.
You took your shoe off and you said there was going to be a recession.
Listen, Scott.
GDP is 3%.
Too early to give a final
called it.
verdict.
All right, Scott.
It's too
what
early. Just a second, Abby. Oh, come on. This is funny numbers because of imports and just the way it was all structured. The 10-year number is quite clear that the tariffs will not bring in...
Hello everybody. Guys, we got Little Sure Michael today and the insufferable Scott Jennings. Let's get right into this segment because there's a lot to get into. The amount of bootlicking for the Predator-in-Chief is truly a sight to see. Let's check this out and we'll talk about it.
In our fifth seat at the table, CNN business editor at large and CNN anchor Richard Quest. Richard, the Wall Street Journal described this as a weird GDP report because there's a lot of stuff inside the numbers. The headline number is good, but what do you see on the inside?
Oh, the GDP number was weird because the previous number was greatly affected by imports. All those importers trying to get stuff into the United States before the tariff barriers came down. And so the previous number was off. This number, it's good, don't get me wrong, it is a good number, but it can't be necessarily taken to the bank just yet. We do not know the full effects of the tariffs yet. To put this in perspective, pre-Donald Trump, the average US tariff was 3%. Today, the average US tariff is 17%, which is the highest level since Smoot-Hawley in the 1920s and 30s. Now, we cannot know at this point exactly how that's going to play out, which is why the Fed held interest rates as they two dissenters, yes, two dissenters, I'll give you that, but they held at them for the time being simply because, as Jerome Powell says, we just don't know.
Well, I would just like to go back. I'd like to build a DeLorean and go back to April when everybody here was predicting likely to cause a recession. Investment stops and a recession happens. They're not talking about a U.S. recession. They're talking about a global recession.
What was happening in April,
Lead to
Scott?
recession. Eventually, there being a reception. So
Very cleverly.
Hold
Very
on,
cleverly. No, hang on a second.
Yeah.
If he's chosen to take
I
my
just
words,
want to point
just
out.
a second,
You
sir.
called it. You called the recession. You
And
called
and
it. You
Germany,
took your shoe off.
And oh, would you like to see that again?
You took your shoe off. You brought cookies out here.
15%.
You took your shoe off and you said there was going to be a recession.
Listen, Scott.
GDP is 3%.
Too early to give a final
called it.
verdict.
All right, Scott,
It's too
what was-
early. Just a second, Abby.
yeah.
He's basically calling me
Yeah.
out here. It's too early to give a final verdict on the tariffs. You may wish to, but at the moment, it can't be said what the long-term effect is going
Richard,
to be.
I am just a journalist, and all
Scott,
I
no, you're not.
all I can
Scott.
do is read the economic data.
It's a bit of a stretch, but
3%
Scott,
Not a journalist.
GDP,
Scott Jennings.
trade deals, record high in the stock
come
market,
on, these trade
cooling
deals-
inflation.
these trade
Friend,
deals
hold
are
on a second.
garbage.
It's actually much simpler.
Garbage?
Yes.
Hold on a
brother.
second.
The
It's
Euro-
much
so-
simpler than this. Just 1 second, because I think it's super important to understand. Scott, what was happening in April of this year, 2025? What was happening then?
The president.
What did the president announce on that week, the first week of April? What did he announce?
The president was implementing.
What did
his-
he announce,
his
Scott?
Tariff agenda.
And what were those tariff levels?
And well, they were different for different countries.
Okay, so
but,
let me.
but
all right,
every
hold on,
single
hold
person
on.
predicted
Hold on,
calamity.
Scott.
Calamity.
Scott, you can't skip
Calamity.
steps here.
And there is none.
What were those tariff levels?
They were different. He had a chart for different
not just
countries.
different. They were 2 to 3 times higher than the current tariff levels. Did
So?
those tariffs go into
More.
place, Scott?
It's different for every country.
Scott,
it's different for every
it's
country.
a simple question. Did those tariffs go into place?
He has delayed
Yes or no?
some of the tariffs.
Yes or no?
He has delayed some of the tariffs, and he's made deals,
did any of
and
the,
he's implemented
did
others.
any of the tariff levels that Trump announced on that week, did they ever go into place?
Some tariffs have been implemented, some have been delayed, and some deals have
The
been
answer
made.
is they did not. They did
Some
not.
tariffs have been
And
implemented.
all of those,
Some tariffs have been implemented.
all of those quotes.
That's why we have all this money coming in.
We have them here.
Even
Hold
you
on a
said,
second.
You're playing with numbers here.
We have them here.
No, back in April, back in April.
you guys are so mad. Why are you rooting for
Because-
failure?
because-
Why does this table root for failure?
Quiet, please, because you are saying that
You're
you
rooting
are
for
taking,
failure.
you are taking a number of 40, 50, 60% back in April, and you're comparing it to a number of 10, 15% now.
Fine,
so
it's his
it-
strategy to negotiate and create leverage
Scott,
and
but
give us the
that's still-
situation
It
we're
is
in
completely,
today.
okay, Chair Michael, I will let you talk, but I just have to say, completely disingenuous
Yeah.
to suggest
I'm sorry,
that, hold on,
you were the one
Scott,
calling
please,
for a recession
just
in
give me-
April,
just
not me.
Give me 1 second.
You called for it.
Give me 1 second. Please let me finish.
She
It
just
is
explained
completely
it.
disingenuous to suggest that what economists said would happen if Trump imposed 50 and 60%, let's jump all the way up to 135% level tariffs on this economy would have been a recession. Those levels never happened, which is why there has been no recession.
You sound
so
disappointed.
it's not
You
that
sound
complicated.
disappointed.
The levels
go ahead.
haven't happened.
Easy there, little Michael. Easy. Scott is just so insufferable. He has this weird serial killer look to him, but that's besides the point. The side thing about this whole conversation they're having here about why the economy hasn't seen the full effects of the tariffs yet is that because Scott Jennings is too busy blowing kisses to Trump through the camera and flirting with him, Abby has to waste a few minutes to calm this dude's arousal down, just so that they can get to the segment at hand and get into further details. I swear he does it on purpose. It's to derail the conversation so you don't get into the numbers. Abby has been saying this to Scott and all these MAGA pundits week after week. Trump backed off of the tariffs, the big ones, the 70%, 145%, the crazy ones, 25% to Canada, 50%, whatever, to Mexico. Like, guys, remember a few weeks ago, that's why they started calling him Taco. Trump always chickens out. So it's just like so ridiculous and childlike to be like, oh, you see, look, the tariffs work. The tariffs work. No, he backed away from them, you idiot. When the reason that the market was crashing and recession was predicted at that time was because of the massive tariff that Trump backed away from. Since those tariffs didn't go into effect, the economy went back to normal and steady the way it was under Biden. It's just not that hard to understand. He knows this. He's just playing games and just trying to blur the lines. Prices, and in fact, prices are higher than they should be because of Trump and these tariffs. You heard it. The average used to be 3%. Now it's around 17%. Who's paying that? Who do you think is paying that? We are, consumers. Now let's let little Michael flirt with Trump and blow kisses to him too.
Happened, but it didn't stop individuals who were antagonistic to the president and his agenda, whether they agree with him or not, from saying that this is still going to lead to significant inflationary rates. We have not seen that.
Yeah,
and so you would think individuals
Michael,
who were on the negative
let
of
me
this
ask,
would
it's
have at a
super-
minimum
it
acknowledged the
is
fact that the
super
president
simple.
did not implement
Chair
those
Michael,
high
it
tariff
is
rates, which
super
you just
simple.
stated.
It is super simple. Did Donald Trump implement the tariff levels that he
No,
promised?
I acknowledge that the tariff levels did
when
actually.
you-
My point
hold on a second.
is.
When you evaluate whether or not inflation has resulted from those tariff levels, how are you evaluating
Well,
it?
I'll
because
tell you-
they haven't gone into place. So obviously, inflation hasn't increased to the levels that people projected
No.
if they had gone into place.
We're arguing two different things. The point that I'm making is individuals who said at the time that this would lead to a recession continue to make the same argument despite the fact that those tariff rates were not implemented. That's the point I'm making. And no one here is willing to acknowledge that fact.
Let me just play Jerome Powell.
He's such a liar. It was all based on him increasing the tariffs right into this deadline that he would, hey, we have another deadline. The whole point about the recession fears was if he went with the tariffs, the high ones. Like, this guy is such a fool.
Because I'm not an economist, but this guy is. So listen to what he has to say about tariff levels and the impact on the economy.
Higher tariffs have begun to show through more clearly to prices of some goods, but their overall effects on economic activity and inflation remain to be seen. Effective level of tariffs is not moving around that much at this point, but at the same time, there are many uncertainties left to resolve.
And honestly, the main uncertainty that he's talking about is that we just don't know what the deals are going to end up looking like. And we might know come Friday. And then next month, we'll assess the situation. But right now...
Can I just say,
and Abby,
the deals. Let's talk about the deals. Right. So we've got the deal with the European Union, which somebody has already described as pie in the sky. They simply will not buy that amount of energy, and nor will they invest that amount of money. We have the deal with Japan, where nobody knows where the $650 billion worth of investment is going to come from. Nobody. The Japanese admit they don't know where it's going to come from. We've got the deal announced today with the South Koreans. What Donald Trump has brilliantly done, he wanted a headline number, and it's around 15%, but the underlying terms of trade deals are garbage.
So Richard, what deal would you have preferred?
How do you mean?
Well, what details of a deal would suffice for you?
Well, I would have liked them to have negotiated a proper long-term
What's proper?
deal.
Let's focus on the word proper.
Where the
What's
detail
proper
holds
to
up.
you?
Where the detail...
No, because you keep saying this, but you're giving no specificity whatsoever.
Well,
I can sit here and name a whole bunch of random ridiculousness. That means absolutely nothing at all.
With respect, no, because they've actually announced a European deal where supposedly $600
So
billion...
give specifics about what you would like to see in an alternative. Wait a minute, Scott. Give an alternative and give specifics for what would be a deal that would satisfy your critique.
A long-term trade relationship deal that doesn't rely on a fictitious amount of investment.
Okay.
The Japan deal.
Richard.
No.
I'm listening.
The Japan deal envisages $650 billion worth of investment. But nobody says by whom or how or the penalty against. It is literally making it up.
Look,
because
let me let some of the other folks on to.
And Sure Michael answered his own questions. He was like, "What specifics do you want?" That's exactly it. Specifics. Trump's trade deals have no specifics, have no contractual. We'll get into that in a second. What I don't know his name, I forgot, the guy that was talking, what he was getting to that is that these deals are just nonsense, like the same one in the first term, Trump's first term. These countries are playing with Trump essentially and saying, yeah, we're going to invest so and so this amount in this amount of years, with no contract, no specifics, no purchasing of this for that, whatever. It's just whatever to make Trump stop crying. And the thing is that these countries don't have to play ball with us. We talked about this over and over. These countries are working with each other. They're doing more business locally. They've diversified their portfolio away from us because we are seen as a more risky asset now. Because simply we have things in this country, these people called Republicans. They don't know what they're doing, especially when it comes to the economy. They're especially horrible with that. Look up past recessions. Just look up economic data on Republicans and running the economy in this country. They're just horrible at it. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And honestly, I don't know if they're horrible, if that's the truth, is that they're weak, they're spineless. They're not ever willing to push back to their president, their leader, and tell the truth about something like this, tariffs, or whatever it is for the sake of their own jobs. Just like what we're seeing right here with Scott and Little Shermichael. They're afraid to tell the truth because they know they need to bend the knee, or else. Especially Shermichael. He learned that real quick after he got fired by Trump in his first term. Like I said, this is why I call him Little Shermichael.
The conversation. Go ahead, Chuck.
I'm not going to. Me and Amanda's got some things to say. First of all, I want to go back, but I ain't going back this far. I'm going to go way back. I'm going to go back one more year and tell you how Donald Trump was right. Stay in your seat. He was right because he said when Joe Biden's stock market was at an all-time high, when we were creating jobs, we were full of employment, and things were going great, Donald Trump said to me, my Republican friends who've been doing laps all day of victories, said to me, Chuck, the stock market is not real people's lives. GDP is not the real people's lives. And I'm here to tell you, as an old boy from East Texas who never went to college, it ain't real people's lives. Folks at home's prices have not went down. Folks' lives are still as bad. We can sit here and argue about all these trade deals all you want. Folks at home care about gas and groceries if the price of the house is going up.
Gas is down, by the way.
But a little more than 51% of Americans do have a 401k.
No, it's not.
That impacts them.
That's where
That
my money
matters
is.
in terms of the stock market
so you're
performance.
good. You're good with the stock market now.
Well,
But
I've
a few
always
months
been
ago,
good with the
I don't
stock
know. I mean,
market.
a few months ago, you were complaining that this was not real life. Listen, let's put the stock market all
Okay,
the way
let's
to
put
let's
that
it
to the
all
side.
the way to the side. Okay, you know, it's interesting because we were talking about the funny numbers. Private domestic investment fell 15%. Okay, one of the reasons that the GDP was up is because imports basically collapsed. 30% decrease in imports. And so there's stuff happening in the economy that are still a result of the tariffs, which is one of the reasons why I think there are a lot of people who are like, hold on a second, we have to see what happens going forward.
I just wish that the proper trade deals have been put in place long term. Instead, this myopic obsession the president has with tariffs. So he's got his tariffs. He's got a global tariff rate of between 15 to 20%, and he's happy with that. And it will bring in billions of dollars. Not as much as he likes to think, by the way. It'll bring in about $2 trillion over 10 years when he's increased the deficit by more than $5 trillion over 10 years. But that's another story, which you don't want to reflect on.
We do have a budget surplus, do we not? In June and July?
Oh, come on. This is funny numbers because of imports and just the way it was all structured. The 10-year number is quite clear that the tariffs will not...
Look at this dude. I had to pause it there. I knew this was coming up. Like, this is a game for him. You tell me who you would take advice from. Who's taking the topic serious? This guy's a clown. What is he, like mid-50s? Jeez.
Bring in the difference on the big, beautiful bill. It's quite a simple matter of arithmetic. The trade deals will not. Take this to the bank. The trade deals that he's been announcing long-term will not change in terms of trade.
Can we take it to the bank like your recession calls? Or?
Scott, let me let him have a word in edgewise here.
I am not an economist like you, but I am a consumer, and I do have friends who run small businesses, and they have had a very difficult time since last fall, since before the April announcement, trying to figure out where to keep their factories, what the costs were going to be, what their margins were going to be, how much staff they could continue to hire, and what their product was going to look like. There are people who are considering marketing shifts because their products are going to be in different categories. I mean, downstream effects for small business owners that they can't predict, and they still can't predict because, to your point that it's, you're arguing essentially that where the market is now is an indicator that there's not going to be a problem down the line. But we're talking about a deadline of this Friday. The tariffs have not largely even gone into effect yet, and we haven't even begun the negotiation with China. So the idea that where things are now is where they're going to stand, and the idea that business owners are supposed to know how to plan for this, they don't know how to plan for this. They're very clear that they are conflicted, they are confused, they don't know what to do. I have a friend who actually has a factory that was in China. She moved it last fall before Trump even took office to Southeast Asia, thinking that she was going to avoid some kind of tariff penalty, and then he made his announcement.
She should bring it to the U.S. of A.
There is no real manufacturing of these types of materials in America. That economy doesn't exist here. There's no labor here. There's no infrastructure for it here. That's a ridiculous suggestion.
My factory actually got sent overseas. I know what it's like for a whole little small town in East Texas to be uprooted and sent over because of NAFTA or PNTR. Like, these are real issues we're talking about. And if we could bring all the manufacturing jobs back, I'd be in on day one. Even some of these tariffs on steel and aluminum, count me in. But regular folks right now, when they look at what they're going to do to pay for their babysitters and stuff, we got to get back to helping those. That's how Donald Trump got elected. I think that's how the Republicans lose in the midterm.
We got to go. We got to go. I just want to channel our friend Kevin O'Leary, who was on the show yesterday, and he pointed out that some businesses are saying it's going to be a third they eat the price, a third they pass it on to consumers, a third just gets wiped away by AI. So let's see what happens when that happens. Richard Quest, thank you.
Oh, I'll tell you what happens. Sure, some companies will do that 1/3 each, where the company takes some of the hit, the consumer, and then the rest AI. By the rest of AI, that's their new way of saying they will lay people off and have other people pick up the slack until they find the technology they need to replace them as well. Like, what's so insane about these tariffs is that we are literally paying for our own destruction. Companies are built on pure profits and optimizing profits, maximizing them. Just like the woman was speaking, I don't know her name, you can't just make everything here. Some products will just become unviable. They will not sell. Consumers will not be willing to pay, you know, whatever it is, $5 for a pencil, right? Just for an example. And like companies that won't be able to take these tariffs hit will fire people and force other people to pick up the slack or risk you also being let go. And for other companies, the tariffs will inevitably, for certain products, make the product just not worth buying because of this increase in price. And that product will not only cease to exist because it isn't viable anymore in the market, but all those jobs will be gone as well, right? Like, they go hand in hand. If we don't sell enough widgets, we don't create enough jobs. If we sell no widgets, we create no jobs. And like, hopefully Trump keeps backing off these tariffs and they don't actually go through with them, like the major ones, because it would truly be catastrophic if he does. And I'm afraid that he might, because he's trying anything to distract about this whole Epstein thing. So like I said, he's going to try a bunch of things. He's trying to go after Obama, Oprah, Beyonce. Like, he's out of his mind. He's on a racist tangent, a racist rampage. And like, he already did this irreparable damage with our allies and trade partners by how he treated them with this whole tariff thing, talking about he's going to invade Canada, like just all this garbage. And now they're making deals without us, and who wouldn't? Rightfully so. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel, really helps get the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.